Mohamed Asuku have withdrawn from the race. Now, this was announced at the stakeholders meeting of the party held on Thursday in Lokoja. The meeting held at the party's secretariat was hosted by the governor, who unveiled his preferred candidate as the Auditor General of the state, Ahmed Ododo. Meanwhile, Onoja and Asuku announced their withdrawal from the governorship primary via their respective verified Facebook pages shortly after the meeting in Lokoja. Onoja, whom many had thought would naturally succeed Bello before now, wrote on his Facebook page, quote, "To God be the glory for life and divine health. My appreciation to my leader, His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Bello, and all my supporters for your love and prayers. Let love, patience, and perseverance lead. I am forever grateful." End of quote. Now, let's talk about this in the 4 o'clock hour. The headline once again: Kogi Governor picks Auditor General as anointed candidate. Anointed candidate is the operative term here. The Premium Times crafted this way: Kogi governorship, Yahaya Bello unveils anointed APC candidate, Onoja others withdraw. Now, anointing candidates or successors is not peculiar to Kogi State or Yahaya Bello for that matter. Other governors across the country have been known to do that. As a matter of fact, it's the norm. It's unusual if it ever happened since 1999 that a governor is not determined or makes every effort to predetermine who's going to be his successor. In many cases, unilaterally. So this practice of anointing a successor or the candidate of their party for the next governorship election, by governors that is, how has that impacted the country, governance especially? Has it been a positive thing, suggesting the governors actually know what they're doing, such that, oh, this person is perfect, you know? Kind of like for religious folks, how Elijah picked Elisha. I mean, if you read the story, if you're a Bible person, you could say Elijah made the right choice, right, by picking Elisha to succeed him as the prophet. Now, with the governors, and I think there was some kind of anointing that took place with that. Now, with the governors and their version of anointing, has it quite worked out? Has it worked out well for the people who are being for the governed, for the masses? That is, we'll look at this in the 4 o'clock hour after the business news. That takes us to 5 o'clock. The news update comes out top of the hour at 5. And here's an interesting story from Premium Times. Police fires officers attached to APC singer for misuse of firearms. Here's a bit of the story. The Nigeria Police Force has dismissed 3 officers for misuse of their firearms while escorting a singer of the APC, Dauda Kahutu. Premium Times reported how the authorities arrested the officers attached to the singer, also known as Rarara, for shooting their weapons indiscriminately at an event. A viral video of the incident showed the police escort attached to the singer shooting their weapons indiscriminately. The shooting reportedly occurred while the singer's fans followed him to his parked SUV, hailing him in Hausa. Olumiyiwa Adejobi, a police spokesperson, confirmed the arrest of the police escorts on his official Twitter handle on Sunday. In a statement, Adejobi said the officers were dismissed after they were captured in the video firing their weapons indiscriminately. According to the statement, the officers were tried and found guilty of misuse of firearms, abuse of power, gross indiscipline, and wastage of live ammunition. He identified the officers involved as Dahiru Shuaibu, an inspector, Abdullahi Badamosi, a sergeant, and Isa Danladi, also a sergeant. The punishment to the officers is to serve as a deterrent to others, as the police would not tolerate any form of misconduct or unprofessionalism from any officer, irrespective of his or her rank. Now, interesting, because incidents like this happen very commonly, quite commonly. You know, officers, police officers, even here in Rivers State as well. I don't know why they get excited when I don't know. Maybe because of the prospect of money they're going to receive. You know, you see them sometimes at parties. They escorted some person, you know, or maybe a person is throwing a party even in their home and they're there on guard duty, and then for some unspeakable reason, they start deploying their firearms. You know, they're shooting into the air. On occasion, they've killed people as well while expressing this excitement, once again for reasons I can't comprehend. It happens very often. However, this incident was captured on video Video went viral, and Force Headquarters Abuja responded to this, firing these officers after a trial, of course, possibly orderly room trial. It got me thinking, what if the state in which this incident happened has a police command, has a police commissioner as well. Why did the state not respond to it? Even here in River State recently, we had a viral video of some police officers flogging, slapping a man, obviously for no reason, no justifiable reason. It was Abuja that responded to that as well. And those officers who had to be, Abuja requested they be sent to Abuja to face disciplinary actions. Remember the video some time back, another viral video of some not very smart police officer who was singing and dancing to some rendition of a cult. What has I heard is a popular or known cult song, and he was reprimanded by Force Headquarters in Abuja as well. I'm sure he is attached to a police command at state level. The same thing with the police officers here in River State, and there are several other examples. So I'll be asking you in the 5 o'clock hour. I mean, you would think that if state police commands were responding to these issues the way Abuja has been responding the last couple of weeks, months, or even years, maybe we might have. Do you think that maybe we might have a more professional police force if the state police commands are responding to these anomalies perpetrated by officers at the state level? If they were responding the way that Abuja is responding, would we have a more professional police force? Maybe fairly more professional. And would you say that state police commands are responsible for the unprofessionalism in the Nigeria police force? I'll ask you about that in the 5 o'clock hour. Headlines 5:30, Million is 6 p.m. Open season after that. I've got a commercial break now. We'll be back in a moment. Do please stay with us.
You no longer have to miss any moment of the action. Listen to us from anywhere in the world. Download the Nigeria Info FM app from your app store. Tap the menu bar on the top left corner of your screen, select Port Harcourt, and listen to your number one talk radio station. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good afternoon, sir.
Live from your number one talk station, 92.3 Nigeria Info. We are in Port Harcourt. I'm Tayo. It's 28 minutes gone past 3 p.m. Let's talk. Yeah, so I gave a preview of today's show earlier on, what to expect, matters to be discussed. Join in. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. We're on Twitter and YouTube, Nigeria Info PH as well. At the appropriate time, also call the numbers 0817 923 0003 or 0817 923 0007. So we get things going now with today's side comments, random stories, random thoughts of mine as I checked out the news earlier on today. And INEC in Rivers State has started distribution and movement of sensitive materials. Oh goodness, again, sensitive materials to areas where the supplementary elections will take place tomorrow. Resident Electoral Commissioner in the state, Johnson Aladibo, told journalists the commission was prepared for the election. Sensitive materials, goodness gracious. I mean, I'm picturing an image in my mind right now. Every time I say sensitive materials, honorables and excellencies are jumping up from their seats. Let's try it. But if you look around you, if you can see if there's any honorable excellency around you, just look at them. Just observe them. I'm going to try it now. Turn on the volume of your radio set just a bit, so that you're sure the honorable will hear it. Sensitive materials. Yeah. You see. It's an involuntary action. They can't control it. Let's try it again. Sensitive materials. Oh, you see, even if I whisper it, sensitive materials. You see, yeah, probably good. You know, something is twitching. You know, there's a twitch. The eye is twitching. You know, there's an involuntary jerk, knee jerk, or a jerk of the arm, or even the neck. When they hear the expression sensitive materials, you know, can't help themselves. Can't help themselves at all. I hope the sensitive materials are safe from all the honorables and excellencies out there. Someone here says they act as if vampires see blood. That's famous. Yeah, kind of like that, you know. I think I said that some weeks back as well, just before the last elections. Nigerian honorables and excellencies' reaction to sensitive materials is like vampires to blood, you know. Assistant General Secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Chris Onyeka, says the new leadership of the NLC has developed other ways to find solutions to the instability in the price of petrol and cash scarcity. Chris said this while answering questions on Nigeria Info FM's on a Morning Crossfire show. Let's take a listen to some of what this newfound way of dealing with the situation. I'm curious to find out exactly what it is. So let's take a listen. Just a moment. The right one. Oh my. Okay, it does look like I do not have that. Okay, maybe I do actually.
The issue of the cash crunch was the moment we came out with our strategy, that issue was really resolved. There is a passion. There is a change in the Nigerian Labour Congress. There is a change in our strategy, in our attitude, the determination in the heart of the leadership to make impactful changes in the life of not just Nigerian workers, but also Nigerians. This is a new leadership that is prepared to go on the side of Nigeria. It's going to be robust, it's going to be vibrant, and that is what we are.
Okay. All right, well, I guess the jury might still be out on this newfound strategy of the Nigeria Labour Congress. But time will tell if this strategy has been effective. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday on the show or the day before? I actually had a conversation about this. I asked for your assessment of this new strategy of the Nigeria Labour Congress, because whilst I had not heard this fellow speak on the matter, I perceived that it was some strategy, some new strategy that the NLC was testing out. Possibly. I'm very careful, by the way, to acknowledge that. Possibly. And you didn't seem quite so excited about this new strategy. But like I said, maybe benefit of the doubt is necessary here. But time will definitely tell whether this new strategy is an effective one or not. Let's see what else caught my attention on the news today. Let's see, I do have to wrap this up in a moment. Now, the president-elect Bola Tinubu says the PDP's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has always lost his bid to lead the country since 1993. The president-elect said this in his response to the petition filed by Atiku and the PDP before the Presidential Election Petition Court, in which they are praying to be declared the winner, or for the court to order a rerun. Now, Tinubu said it would have been a miracle for the PDP and its candidate to win in view of the crisis rocking the party before and during the elections. Now, I don't know if Atiku stood a chance of winning the elections or not. I don't know. And I definitely don't know what the courts will feel about this. I mean, the courts have a responsibility, and I'm sure they will do their jobs as far as this matter is concerned. But I'm not quite so sure how strong a defense or an argument that is being put up by the Bola Tinubu camp. I mean, if I was the lawyer for the PDP and I hear the APC lawyer said, "Oh, your lordship, look at the candidate of the PDP. You know, he has been trying to be president of this country since 1990, whatever it is, God knows when, and he has successively failed, woefully I might add, at that venture. I'm sure this court will consider that it is not possible for a person who has continually lost all attempts, and woefully I might add, to contemplate the possibility of having won or winning either these just concluded general elections or any other general election to come in the future. I rest my case, Your Honor. Now, if I was the PDP lawyer, I simply stand up to say, "Oh, thank you. My learned colleague here seems to not have attended history class while in school, smacking off something that may border on truancy. So for that reason, I will help to educate my learned colleague here and give him a crash course in history. I perceive that my learned colleague here may have forgotten, or like I said earlier on, didn't attend class at all, and does not know that the current president of the country also failed severally. Was it twice or three times or thereabouts before he kept trying again, and he eventually won election into office. Might also school my learned colleague here of famous world leaders. Abraham Lincoln comes to mind at this time, who also failed in his quest to win elected positions severally. And of course, we all know he became one of the foremost, most remembered American presidents, even till date. So on that note, I rest my case, Your Honor. Yeah, so once again, I'm not sure how strong a case that is, that because somebody has not won, and then you get the point. So, was there anything else? I think that might be it. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says Bayelsa, Delta, Lagos and Rivers states are more prone to flooding this year. The agency said the flooding, which will be due to the rise in sea level and tidal surge, may negatively impact agriculture, human settlement and transportation in the state. The agency, while calling for early warning action to mitigate the impact of the predicted flood, said this year's flood may be more than what was witnessed last year. Oh, thank you, Nima. Have no fear. We have a wonderful strategy, which we have been employing for some time right now. It's a world-renowned strategy. United Nations and WHO have been asking us if they can copy this strategy for responding or mitigating the impact of floods. It's a worldwide celebrated strategy, and it is the Choi response. It's a Choi response strategy. We have perfected it. It is a homegrown. It's a homegrown strategy. We have perfected it. The Choi The Choi response strategy. Let me tell you very quickly, briefly, this is how it works. When NEMA is giving warnings, hydro agencies, meteorological agencies, all of them are giving warnings. We do nothing. We don't rush. We don't rush. We don't rush at all. We take our time. And then the floods will come, and then buildings are destroyed. And you're wondering at this point, what is the response? Don't worry, calm down. You see, that's it. You don't know. You don't know how these things work. So be enlightened for once in your life. We don't do anything. The floods will come. People, whole communities are sacked. Crops are destroyed. People lose their livelihoods. Houses are destroyed. People lose everything. Children cannot go to school. No medicines, no hospitals, no schools, nothing. When that happens, then we send one honorable there with lots of cameras and reporters. And then he will fold his arms and say, Choi, Choi, see what's happening to our people. Choi. And then he will point his finger at nothing. Just point at nothing in the distance. While the camera people are capturing him. Talking to the aides, the several aides who are milling around him. Saying nothing. Nobody hears what he's saying. He's just pointing at something. Nobody actually sees what he's pointing at. He's pointing there, then he folds his arms, bends and shakes his head while saying, Choi, Choi, see what our people are going through. And then he ends with, but graciously, His Excellency has earmarked, His Excellency has released funds, and then you can see all the noodles that we have brought here, and the rice and the mattress and everything. His Excellency, funds have been earmarked. Funds, as I speak, funds have been released graciously and magnanimously by His Excellency. And hey, Choi, see what our people are going through. That's it. That's the summary. It's a bit more complex, though. There's a more complex, but that's the summary of the Choi response strategy, which like I said, it's a homegrown strategy, and we have perfected it. So even the UN is looking for the strategy to use elsewhere as well. So NEMA, have no fear. So I think I'll wrap up the side comment on that note. A few quick comments here, though. Delivering sensitive materials to the honorables are like goats and yams, cats and rats, rats and dry fish. That's from Noble. This NLC man's voice reminds me of Festus Okoye of INEC and its promises of real-time uploading of results by beavers. That's from Uche Nwachuku. The Choi strategy remains undefeated. Yes, indeed. What about setting up committee to review the flood situation? That's like I said, there are other complexities to the Choi strategy. I just give you the summarized version. The Choi strategy is not complete without a committee being set up at some point, obviously. Yeah. Even the current American president started his presidential bid since 1982 and lost, but today he's the American president. His colleague's client also worked for the current president, whom he knew had failed so many times before he became president. All right, so that's a wrap for the side comments. I go on the break now. When I return, today's round comes up. Do please stay with us. Hello and welcome back. It is Hot Factor Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dai. I'd like to rant for just a bit. Something's on my mind and I'd like to express some thoughts on it. I'd very much like as well to get your take on my take till 4 o'clock. And the essence of my rant today, well, like every other rant, is a reminder of sorts that if we as citizens, if we expect decency of government, if we expect people in government to comport themselves like human beings, people who have emotional intelligence, people who have capacity, people who have empathy, people, basically, you know what? I think I'm using words that are too bogus for this rant. If we expect people in government to act like human beings, like normal, sane, right-thinking human beings, I think that let's come down to brass tacks here. It behoves us to also behave like normal human beings. You cannot expect leadership to behave like normal, sensible human beings, rational thinking human beings, and then as citizens or as the followers, we're acting irrationally, like all is not well with our faculties. It doesn't work that way. So if you want right-thinking leaders, you must have right-thinking followers as well. You know, I mean, you can't have one without the other. You cannot. And even if you do, it's not going to work. Here's an example of what happens when followers are not right-thinking. This was on our news earlier. Deputy Superintendent and Head of Operations of the Federal Fire Service in Rivers State, Abbas Regan, has refuted claims that personnel of the fire service did not respond quickly to the distress call by traders whose goods and property at the Ojoto market in Mount Port Harcourt were burnt by fire last night. His rebuttal comes after personnel of the fire service were attacked by some mob for reportedly arriving at the scene of the fire disaster late. Now, speaking with our correspondent, Regan said his men had to run from the attackers for the sake of their lives. Wow. Do I have that? I'm sure I must have that sound here somewhere.
Once there's a fire like that, people don't intend to call us on time. That's the problem. But the fact is, immediately they called us. That's when we left the station to the place. So when immediately our men got to the scene, but they did not allow us to do their job. The people there start to mob our men, turning the vehicles and so on. So in order to save their own life, they have to leave the scene. They don't allow them to do their job.
Now, the properties, what millions of naira were gutted by fire at the market. Now, chairman of the market, Arenze Akwe, narrated the incident to our correspondent. He also explained the challenges he went through to get the attention of the fire service. I think I have that here as well.
Called the fire service, River State Fire Service, and there was no response. And I was so disappointed that they could not respond to the call. From my house, drove down to Park, where we have the River State Fire Service. They told me they cannot do anything. They are the people that directed me to Federal Fire Service.
He also condemned the attacks on the personnel of the Federal Fire Service by hoodlums, whom he said wanted to take advantage of the situation to loot. Akupwe said it took the intervention of the police officers from the Azikwe Police Division to rescue the personnel of the fire service. You know how they say that sometimes the devil will just shake his head? Because every time someone commits a crime and they're apprehended, they blame the devil. And the devil is there wondering, what does this have to do with me? I didn't even see when you did this. Why are you blaming me? I have a feeling that hoodlums feel that way as well. Because every time something is done, we blame it on hoodlums. And hoodlums were just somewhere minding their business. They possibly were not even at the scene of this fire. And hoodlums right now, professional career hoodlums, right now thinking, why are you blaming us? What did we do? What is our connection to this situation really? Now, it's interesting to note that the chairman of the market said this. I'd like to play that back again.
Called the fire service, River State Fire Service, and there was no response. And I was so disappointed that they could not respond.
Why did the River State Fire Service not respond? I mean, that is an entire rant for another day. The fact of the matter is that they can't respond. It is right now impossible for them to respond, I suppose. That's why they did not respond. You then reached out to the Federal Fire Service. They responded, only for them to get there and then you decide to attack them. That is what happens when followers are not thinking normally, are not acting like sane, rational thinking human beings. There is a reason the fire service did not respond. There's a reason the Rivers State Fire Service did not respond. I don't think that the guys at the Rivers State Fire Service were watching Manchester United's disintegration yesterday by the Maguire disaster. I don't think they were watching that, and that's why they chose to not attend to a fire. I don't think that even if the Federal Fire Service, assuming, not conceding that they didn't arrive there as quickly as may have been expected, I don't think it was because they were watching Man U's disastrous outing either. No. Many things are responsible for this. They are incapacitated. And then they show up. What sane, sensible people ought to do is to do their best to help the fire service to manage the situation. But what do? We start attacking them. We start beating them. That's what we do. And then when we are called that, we blame hoodlums. Hoodlums that were minding their business. The hoodlums are probably watching Man U's awful performance yesterday. That is not how sensible followers behave. And quite frankly, I don't think hoodlums had anything to do with this. I think it was the people who possibly were offended that their goods were being destroyed and took out their frustrations on the Federal Fire Service officials. I have seen when an ambulance is on the road and people are not making way for an ambulance. I have seen it happen here on the streets of Port Harcourt. So if that, assuming the roads are narrow, there's traffic in some cases, sometimes people don't even care to make way for emergency vehicles. And then they show up and then you attack them. Something is definitely wrong somewhere. And if we want things to work, if we want responsible, responsive governments, people in government who are rational thinking, who behave and think like normal human beings, we also must behave like normal human beings. And beating up fire service officials or emergency response teams when they show up, when they are even able, what would have happened if they didn't show up at all? Would they go to their office to beat them up there? Let's do what we can to help them. And if you want a fire service that's more effective, voting responsive and responsible people into government, then you will have a functional fire service. On that note, to end my rant, thanks for listening. Let's get you taken by. Call 0817-923-0002 or 0817-923-0003. We're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. We're also on Twitter and YouTube, Nigeria Info PH. Hello, Hard Factor, welcome. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hi, go ahead.
I'm Stephen Igis.
Go ahead, sir.
Please, your last comment, you said we should vote people who will help this, something like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sorry, please don't be angry. We are trying when it comes to voting, and we are not saying the people, even if we vote the people who will help us, they are not allowing those people to sit down. So what do we do? Okay, so is beating fire service officials the solution? No. Okay, let me come to the fire service.
Okay.
There's one thing about Nigerian fire service. Just 2 days ago, somebody sent me equipment, something that I should apply. I told the person, Nigerian fire, I told him plainly, that Nigerian fire service is not working in Nigeria. How can you tell me a place is burning? You heard it, they called you earlier, they informed you. What are they doing?
What if their vehicle is not working? What should they do?
That is the problem.
Is it the fault of the fire service officials that their vehicle is not working?
It's the fault of everybody plus the government. But I'm not mentioning about it. The fire service, Nigerian fire service is not working in this country. It's not working, sir.
Is it the fault of the fire service officials that their equipment are not working?
Okay. Let's just say now, for instance.
No. Wrap. I need your final comments now. Final comments, please.
Okay. There are some fire service that will tell you, hey, maybe they went to pump water. There's no water in the tank. Must you go and pump water? Water wants to be in the tank all the time.
Okay, your point's noted. Good to hear from you. Can I take another quick call before? Hello, you're welcome. Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Erama Chuku. I'm from Salam.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, one of the reasons I thought the HATFA program, the HATFA program is your bearing certain issues as it is, not supporting it. And I would like to pull that up. Now, Nigeria, our country, can never be better. That is the fact truth. Some persons will not want to hear that. Some persons, as a Christian, should sound negative and speak negative and all that. Nigeria can never, will never be better. You just say something. Putting, having flexible.
Sadly, Chuku, I must go for a commercial break right now. Just stick around. We'll be back in a bit.
The families of Chief Kyodik Triya Tom Big Harry of Oboma in Degema local government area, Chief Idoniboye Amakri, Young Harry of Buguma, Chief Bobo of Ifoko, and Chief Dajwain of Oporoma, all in Asaritoru local government area, announced the death of our son, brother, uncle, cousin, and father, late barrister Tamanon Nimitemien Dagogo Dick Harry, who slept in the Lord on the 22nd of December 2022 at the age of 87. Burial arrangement Saturday, April 15, 7 a.m. Body leaves Prima Mortuary for Oboma, his hometown, with a brief stopover at his maternal homes in Idonibo Polo in Buguma. 8:30 a.m. Body arrives at Degema Magistrate Court for validatory session with a brief stopover at his father's house. 10 a.m. open air funeral service conducted by Redeemed Christian Church of God. Interment follows thereafter. May his gentle soul rest in the bosom of the Lord. Amen. This is signed by Alabo Q Stanley Tom Big Harry, Alabo Alhaji Mujahid Asari Dokobo, Honorable Lucky Brown, and Pastor Kinsley T. Dagogo Dick Harry. For and on behalf of the families.
Response team officials. Don't do that. They are not the problem. They are not the reason their tanks don't have water. They are not the reason that they don't have tanks at all or firefighting equipment. Hello, Hot Factor, welcome.
Yeah, Dayo, good evening.
Go ahead.
My name is Ron Park. I'm calling from Igreta.
Go ahead, please.
See, I think fire service, just like if you go to, like, sometimes when I do go to stadium, that's at Airport Road, there is a standby ambulance stationed there in case of any player has difficulty, you know. So the fire service, I thought it's like maybe you have up to 4 vehicles. After the 4, they will be standby. If anything come up,
if there is no standby vehicle, is it the fault of the fire service officials?
Dayo, there must be, because as you are in the station there, you have different equipment. If I did not work,
if the equipment is not here for me to work with, is it my fault?
It's not your fault.
I will ask you that question again. If there are no trucks for them to use, is it the fault of the fire service officials?
Why should there be no truck?
How come you can't answer that question? How come you can't answer that question directly? But when I asked about myself, you were quick to respond to it.
There should be truck working. If there is no truck working, they should complain to the government. Yes, they should complain to the government. I don't ever want to complain to the masses, to the public, that the local we supposed to have come to rescue, but the government failed to give us vehicle, or the vehicle they get on is not working well.
Oh, so you the masses, so you the masses don't know that their vehicles don't work well.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Via Facebook, Strangler Onyenkwa goes, good evening, Dio. The fire service officers are prone to responding late. This is not the first time. They might have gotten to the site while the fire has already destroyed everything. What have they come to do? Those officers were when beaten because of their inability to discharge the job diligently. Chuko Erefamote goes down. The fire service reps the government. The honorables would have been beaten if not for the police escorts. We're literally tired of these irresponsibilities from the officials. The fire service officials are not responsible for the problems. They are not. They are victims just like you are as well. Joseph goes, fire service in this country is nonsense. Let's forget about them because they are wasting time. Okay. I hope that we understand the implications of this someday, really. But that's too much I can take, I suppose. So pardon me, I can't catch up with the messages that are coming right now. During the open scene segment, I will read, go back to read these messages, or you can forward them again at that time after the 6 p.m. major news. Please do not attack emergency response officials. If they don't respond as you think is appropriate, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Business news comes up shortly. Please stay with us.
Nigeria Info. Nigeria. I'm listening.